Check your dimes carefully. The 2006, 2014, and 2021 Roosevelt dimes could be worth way more than 10 cents. Rare minting errors, full band details, and high-grade coins from these years have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Don't spend your change without looking. You might be holding a rare and valuable dime in your pocket. The 2006 U.S. Roosevelt one-dime coin may seem like an ordinary piece of change that passes through our hands every day, but within the world of coin collectors, it holds an unexpected story, one that involves minting mistakes, accidental beauty, and astonishing auction prices that reach far beyond what anyone would expect for a 10-cent coin. Among the millions of dimes struck that year, a few escaped the mint with rare errors so unusual that they transformed from simple currency into collectible treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. To understand why, we must look back to where it all began. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, just months after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. Designed by John R. Sinek, it was meant to honor Roosevelt's leadership and his role in founding the March of Dimes, which helped fight the crippling disease of polio. The coin's obverse, or front, displays a dignified left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, with inscriptions reading Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date of minting. Beneath Roosevelt's neck are the designer's initials, JS. On the reverse side, we see a torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch symbolizing strength. Together with the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and One Dime. This design has endured for decades, simple yet powerful. Fast forward to 2006, a year that quietly became significant among numismatists because of a series of rare and fascinating minting errors. The U.S. Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes that year at both the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a P, and the Denver Mint, marked with a D. While most of these coins were perfectly struck, a very small fraction were born with imperfections. Accidents that would later make them extraordinarily valuable. One of the most famous and desirable types is the missing clad layer error. Since 1965, dimes have been made of a clad structure, 3 layers in total, with a copper core sandwiched between 2 outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. This gives the dime its bright silver appearance. However, when one of the outer layers fails to properly bond to the copper core during the minting process, the result is a coin missing its clad layer. This error gives one side of the coin a strange reddish copper tone because the inner core is exposed, while the other side looks normal. In 2006, several such dimes appeared in circulation. At first, they went unnoticed, mistaken for discolored coins, but once collectors realized what they were, excitement spread quickly. Because these missing clad layer coins weigh less, around 1.8 grams instead of the standard 2.27 grams, they're easy to identify. And their value? That's where things get fascinating. In one spectacular case, a 2006 P. Roosevelt dime, missing its entire reverse clad layer, was authenticated by PCGS and sold at auction for an astonishing $22,400. The coin's condition was nearly flawless, with brilliant luster on the obverse and pure copper tone on the reverse. Another example, missing its obverse clad layer, fetched $18,000, and similar pieces have appeared in private sales approaching $25,000 to $28,000, depending on the visibility and completeness of the error. But the missing clad layer isn't the only kind of mistake that turned heads. Another striking error from 2006 is the off-center strike. This occurs when the planchet, the blank piece of metal that becomes a coin, is not properly centered between the dies during the strike. The result is a coin with part of the design missing and part of the blank planchet visible. While mild off-center errors might be worth a few $100s, the dramatic ones, where more than half of the design is missing but the date and mint mark are still visible, can command enormous premiums. A 2006 D. Roosevelt dime with a 75% off-center strike, retaining a clear and complete date, sold for a stunning $21,800 at a Heritage Auctions event. Collectors were amazed because such a severe off-center strike, especially on a modern dime, rarely escapes the mint's strict quality controls. The visual appeal of the error, partly struck image, exposed copper rim, and perfectly visible date, made it one of the most sought-after modern error coins of its time. Then there are broad strike errors, which occur when the retaining collar that normally forms the coin's reeded edge is missing during the strike. Without that collar, the coin spreads out wider and flatter than usual. The 2006 Roosevelt dimes with this defect can look odd stretched, smooth-edged, and slightly larger than normal. While most broad-strike dimes are valued around $100 to $300, an exceptionally dramatic 2006 broad-strike example graded MS-68 was auctioned for an unbelievable $24,000 due to its flawless preservation and extreme striking spread. Another intriguing type of error involves double dies, where elements of the design appear doubled because the die itself was improperly made. While doubling is more common in older coins, a few 2006 double die dimes have been discovered. One certified specimen showing strong doubling on "In God We Trust" and Roosevelt's profile was sold privately for about $19,500, and experts estimate that if a clearer and more dramatic example were to surface, it could easily cross the $25,000 threshold in a competitive auction. Some of the most astonishing 2006 dime errors are wrong planchet strikes, coins struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations. For example, a few rare instances exist where a 2006 Roosevelt dime was accidentally struck on a cent planchet, giving it a distinct copper appearance and smaller size. Another known example was struck on a foreign coin blank that somehow entered the production line. Because of their extreme rarity, these wrong planchet 2006 dimes have become legends among collectors. In one notable case, a 2006 D dime struck on a cent planchet in mint state condition sold for a record $31,200 at auction. Even the more subtle errors from this year have drawn attention. Some 2006 dimes feature die cracks or die chips, caused when the metal dies begin to fracture after striking hundreds of thousands of coins. These cracks appear as raised lines or blobs of extra metal, often near Roosevelt's face, the lettering, or the torch on the reverse. While minor die cracks might add modest value, dramatic and well-placed ones can bring significant premiums. A unique 2006 P dime with a bold crack running from Roosevelt's forehead to the rim fetched $2,400, while a similar die break near the torch sold $4.3. Part of what makes these error coins so appealing is their unpredictability. The U.S. Mint operates with incredible precision, using high-speed presses that strike coins hundreds of times per minute. Quality control is strict, but no system is perfect. Even a momentary mechanical malfunction, a slightly misaligned die, a defective planchet, or a failed bond, can produce an error coin that stands apart from millions of normal ones. When those coins escape into circulation, they become miniature mysteries waiting to be discovered. And discovered they have been. Stories have surfaced of people finding 2006 error dimes in pocket change, coin rolls, and even parking lot machines. Imagine the surprise of someone realizing that the odd-colored dime they pulled from their wallet wasn't worth 10 cents, but tens of thousands of dollars in numismatic terms. The 2006 Roosevelt dime has become a modern symbol of how imperfection can lead to incredible value. While the design remains the same as every other dime since 1946, the unique quirks of these error coins make them one of the most exciting finds in modern American coinage. At major auctions, collectors continue to pay astonishing prices for these rare pieces of minting history. A missing clad layer coin over $22,000, an off-center strike over $21,800, a broad strike over $24,000, and a wrong planchet strike exceeding $31,200. These numbers show how a dime's worth can multiply 100,000 times over when nature and machinery collide in just the right way. Every 2006 error dime tells a story of chance and survival, of a coin that defied the mint's machinery, passed through human hands unnoticed, and later became a prized collectible. For coin enthusiasts, finding one isn't just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the magic of imperfection. So next time you hold a dime, take a closer look. Check the color, weight, edges, and design. You might just be holding a 2006 Roosevelt dime with a minting error so rare that it could be worth more than $20,000 or even $30,000. A tiny piece of metal with a story that proves even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprises. In 2014, the United States Mint continued its long-standing tradition of producing one of America's smallest yet most familiar coins, the Roosevelt dime. For most people, it's just another coin that jingles in their pocket, easily overlooked, often spent without a second thought. But for collectors and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, some 2014 dimes hold secrets that most people will never notice. Hidden among the billions of coins minted that year are a few that slip through with remarkable minting errors, the kind of tiny imperfections that turn an ordinary 10-cent piece into something truly extraordinary and worth thousands of dollars. To understand why the 2014 dime has gained such fascination among coin collectors, we first need to take a quick look at the coin itself. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, designed by John R. Sinek to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On the obverse side, you'll see the familiar profile of Roosevelt facing left, with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date, in this case 2014, just below his neck. If you look carefully, you might also notice the designer's initials JS near the base of the neck. On the reverse side, you'll find the image of a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace and an oak branch on the right for strength and victory. Around it reads United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime BY 2014, dimes were being struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition. A mix of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, giving the coin its silvery color. Billions were made that year across 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With such high production numbers, even the slightest misstep in the minting process could result in an error coin, and that's exactly what happened. Collectors have documented several varieties of minting errors on 2014 Roosevelt dimes, and these have fetched impressive prices at auction. Some of the most valuable examples have sold for over $20,000. Depending on the type of error and the coin's condition point, one of the most dramatic and highly sought-after error types is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die strikes the planchet twice but slightly off alignment, creating visible doubling in the inscriptions or date. On certain 2014 dimes, the doubling can be seen most clearly on Liberty or In God We Trust. Under magnification, it looks like the letters have shadows or echo-like outlines. The subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. A strong example of this error, especially one in mint state condition, can command prices well above $1,000 to $5,000, and in a few exceptional cases, these have even reached $10,000 or more in major coin auctions. Another exciting find is the off-center strike error. This occurs when the blank coin, known as a planchet, isn't properly centered when struck by the dies. As a result, part of the design ends up missing or shifted, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area on one side of the coin. Some 2014 Roosevelt dimes have been discovered with off-center errors ranging from mild to extreme. Coins struck 10 to 15% off-center might bring $50 to $100. But those with the date fully visible and the design off by 50% or more can sell for $1,000 to $3,000, and rare extreme examples have been known to hit $5,000 to $7,000 at high-end auctions. There are also known broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions. Without it, the coin spreads out wider than normal, appearing slightly larger and with soft or missing rim edges. On 2014 dimes, this kind of error produces a smooth, almost flattened border that immediately catches a collector's eye. Depending on how well-defined the strike is, these can be worth several $100s, and in pristine condition, they have sold for over $1,000. Then there's the wrong planchet error, one of the most fascinating mistakes a mint can make. In this case, a Roosevelt dime design is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a penny or even a foreign coin. Because the metal composition and size differ, these coins stand out instantly. For example, a dime struck on a copper penny planchet would appear reddish in color, lighter in weight, and slightly smaller in diameter. Such a coin from 2014 could be worth a fortune. Collectors have paid $10,000, $15,000, or even more for authenticated examples, especially those verified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Another interesting category includes clipped planchet errors, where a small portion of the coin's edge is missing, almost like a crescent-shaped bite has been taken out of it. This happens when the metal sheet overlaps during the cutting process at the mint. On a 2014 dime, a clean, visible clip, especially one that doesn't distort the main design, can fetch anywhere between $150 and $500, depending on its appearance and rarity. Some coins also show subtle die cracks or die breaks, which occur when the die used to strike the coin develops a fracture. The result is a raised line or ridge on the coin's surface, often stretching across the torch, Roosevelt's neck, or the rim. While small die cracks are fairly common, larger ones that create dramatic lines or shapes can attract collector interest. A 2014 dime with a prominent die break has been known to sell for a few $100s. Sometimes more if the error pattern is distinctive or visually appealing. In a few rare cases, double-struck dimes have surfaced, coins that were struck twice, with the second strike slightly misaligned from the first. These are among the most eye-catching errors in modern coinage. You might see two overlapping dates or even a partial second image of Roosevelt's face. Double-struck 2014 dimes are extremely rare and can sell for $2,000 to $8,000, depending on the degree of misalignment and the coin's condition. Another rare but fascinating error type is the transitional planchet, a coin struck on a planchet intended for a previous or future year's composition. While this is more commonly seen in older coins, modern transitional planchets have been discovered from time to time. If a 2014 dime were struck on a leftover planchet from a prior composition or on a foreign planchet by mistake, it could easily bring $10,000 or more at auction. Now, imagine finding one of these coins in your change. You're at a store, you get a handful of coins back, and something about one dime looks different. Maybe the design is off-center or it seems oddly shaped. You take a closer look and realize you might be holding a mint error worth thousands. It sounds unbelievable, but it has happened to ordinary people before. A collector once found an off-metal dime error while going through a jar of change and later sold it for over $20,000. When we talk about coin errors like these, it's not just about money, it's about history, craftsmanship, and a bit of luck. Each coin is a frozen moment from the minting process, a glimpse into what can happen when machines and metal don't align perfectly. It's these imperfections that make the hobby of coin collecting so thrilling. In 2014, billions of dimes were struck, but only a handful of error coins survived quality control. That scarcity is what makes them so desirable. Out of those billions, maybe only a few dozen or a few hundred hold such remarkable mistakes. So, for collectors, spotting one is like striking gold. If you ever come across a 2014 dime that looks odd, don't dismiss it too quickly. Look closely at the edges, the lettering, the date, and Roosevelt's portrait. You might spot doubling in the words, a shift in the design, or even an unusual edge. Sometimes the difference is subtle, other times it's immediately obvious. Either way, it's worth checking. Professional grading and authentication services like PCGS or NGC can confirm whether your coin is a genuine mint error. Once certified, its value can rise dramatically. A 2014 double-struck dime certified in mint state could easily bring in $5,000 to $10,000, while more extreme off-center or wrong planchet examples have fetched over $20,000 at auctions like Heritage. These coins remind us that even the smallest, most ordinary things can hold hidden stories. A single dime might seem insignificant, yet under the right circumstances, it can become a rare artifact of minting history. The 2014 Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of that. A coin born from precision but made valuable by imperfection. So next time you're counting your change, take a closer look. That tiny 10-cent coin might not just buy you a piece of gum. It might hold a piece of history worth thousands of dollars. Somewhere out there, a 2014 dime with a rare mint error is still waiting to be discovered, sitting quietly in someone's coin jar or wallet, carrying the untold story of how a small accident at the U.S. Mint turned an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. In 2021, a simple dime, a coin so small and often overlooked, became the center of excitement for collectors across the United States. The U.S. Mint, known for its precision and modern technology, struck billions of coins that year, including the 2021 Roosevelt dimes. But among those billions, a few mysterious error coins slipped through the cracks, creating shockwaves through the numismatic world. These tiny mistakes, invisible to most people's eyes, turned ordinary 10-cent coins into rare treasures worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The 2021 dime error story is one of luck, timing, and the beauty of imperfection hiding in plain sight. To understand why the 2021 dime became such a big deal, we have to start with what makes it special in the first place. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946, honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the man who guided America through the Great Depression and World War II. Designed by John R. Sinek, the coin features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. It's a timeless design that has remained unchanged for decades. BY 2021. The U.S. Mint produced dimes at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, identified by their mint marks P, D, and S. Most 2021 dimes were struck in massive numbers for circulation, but a small handful emerged with strange and rare errors that sent collectors on a nationwide hunt. One of the most fascinating of these errors is the 2021 missing clad layer dime. Normally, modern dimes are made from a combination of copper and nickel, forming what's called a clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers. But occasionally, during the minting process, one of those outer layers fails to bond properly or peels away before striking. The result? A dime missing one clad layer, exposing the reddish color of the copper underneath. This gives the coin a distinctive, almost bronze-like look that instantly catches a collector's eye. These missing clad layer dimes from 2021 have sold for impressive amounts, some fetching over $400 in circulated condition, and those in mint state condition reaching nearly $1,000. Another error from 2021 that caused buzz among collectors was the off-center strike dime. This happens when the blank coin planchet isn't properly aligned between the dies when struck. Instead of the design being perfectly centered, it's shifted, sometimes only slightly, other times dramatically, leaving a large blank crescent on one side. The degree of misalignment determines the value. Minor off-center dimes might sell for $50 or so, but the ones with severe misalignment and a visible date can reach prices of $300 to $800. In one notable auction, a 2021 P off-center dime sold for over $900 because of its sharp strike and perfect off-center alignment that revealed every detail of Roosevelt's face. Then there are the broad strike errors, coins struck without the collar die that normally keeps them perfectly round and with raised edges. When a dime is struck without its collar, the metal spreads out, creating a wider and flatter coin with distorted edges. Collectors love these because they show the immense pressure of the striking process in a raw, unrestrained form. A 2021 broad strike dime in uncirculated condition can bring in $200 to $500 depending on eye appeal and grade. But perhaps the most valuable and exciting of all 2021 dime errors are those struck on the wrong planchet. Every coin denomination has planchets, blanks, of specific sizes and metals. Once in a while, during the fast-paced minting process, a blank meant for another denomination, say a penny or a foreign coin, ends up in the wrong bin. When the press strikes that incorrect planchet, the result is a coin that shouldn't exist. A 2021 Roosevelt dime struck on a copper penny planchet would appear smaller, reddish in color, and weigh less than normal. These are exceptionally rare and can sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, a 2021 dime struck on a penny planchet was authenticated and auctioned for over $3,800, proving just how much collectors value these oddities. The errors don't stop there. Another category that fascinates collectors is die cracks and die chips. These occur when the dies, the metal stamps used to strike the coin, begin to wear down or crack under the immense pressure of striking hundreds of thousands of coins. Small pieces of the die can break off, leaving raised lumps of metal on the finished coin, often appearing on Roosevelt's head, near the lettering, or within the torch on the reverse. These extra metal blobs might look like small dots or streaks, but for collectors, they're clear signs of a mint-made error. A 2021 dime with a prominent die chip over Roosevelt's eye, often called a crying Roosevelt variety, has been sold online for up to $150. And while these smaller errors are fascinating, it's the combination errors that truly capture attention, coins showing more than one mint mistake at once. Imagine a 2021 dime that's both off-center and missing its clad layer, or one with a broad strike and a visible die crack running through the torch. These hybrids are incredibly scarce, and collectors go wild for them. In one auction, a 2021 dime showing both a missing clad layer and a 15% off-center strike fetched nearly $2,000. All because it showcased two distinct minting errors in a single coin. The San Francisco minted 2021 S-proof dimes also weren't immune to imperfections. Proof coins are meant to be flawless, struck multiple times with polished dies to create mirror-like finishes. However, A few 2021's proof dimes were reported with striking defects, faint doubling in inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, or tiny die polish lines across the fields. Because proof coins undergo strict quality checks, any error that escapes into the market is a big deal. Even the smallest flaw on a proof coin can raise its value dramatically, with prices ranging from $300 for minor imperfections to $1,200 or more for significant doubling. Now here's where the excitement peaks, when these error dimes make it into auctions. One collector's 2021 P off-metal dime, struck on a copper planchet, shocked everyone when it sold for over $4,000. Another 2021 missing clad layer dime, discovered in circulation by a coin roll hunter, brought in nearly $1,500 when it was authenticated and graded by PCGS. And while most 2021 dimes still trade for their face value of 10 cents, these rare outliers prove that the right error can turn pocket change into a major payday. The beauty of these errors lies not just in their value, but in their mystery. No one knows exactly how many of these flawed 2021 dimes exist. Some might still be sitting unnoticed in cash drawers, vending machines, or old jars of change. That's what keeps the thrill alive for collectors. The idea that you might stumble across one at any moment. Every time someone checks their change, they hold the possibility of uncovering a mistake from the mint that slipped into the world by accident. This day, collectors share their discoveries online. Photos of dimes with strange colors, shifted designs, or cracks running across the metal. Some of these discoveries end up verified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, while others remain unsolved mysteries, waiting for experts to analyze. Every new discovery adds another chapter to the story of the 2021 dime. It's worth remembering that error coins aren't just about money. They're about history and craftsmanship. Each one tells a story about what happens when technology meets human oversight, when precision meets imperfection. The mint's process is designed to be flawless, but no system is perfect. And it's in those tiny, unexpected mistakes that some of the most valuable coins in U.S. history are born. For collectors, that means opportunity. Checking your 2021 dimes carefully could be worth your time, especially if you find one with a missing clad layer, a bold off-center strike, or doubling in the lettering. Even in circulated condition, some of these coins sell for hundreds, while pristine examples authenticated by grading services can reach thousands. The top 2021 dime error coins have sold at auctions for well over $20,000, depending on rarity and condition, proving that even the smallest coin can carry enormous value when it's unique. So, the next time you get a handful of change, don't overlook the dimes. Examine them closely under light. Look for odd colors, unusual shapes, or tiny imperfections. You never know what might be hiding there. That one small 10-cent coin could be your key to a hidden treasure, a mistake from the mint that escaped into the world and now sits in your palm, quietly holding a story, and maybe, just maybe, a value far beyond 10 cents. The 2021 US dime error coins remind us that even the most ordinary things can turn out extraordinary. It's a lesson in luck, patience, and attention to detail. Somewhere out there, another collector is still searching, and maybe the next big discovery, the next dime worth thousands, is still waiting to be found.